She didn't. That song was written at a Rihanna song camp. It was on hold for Rihanna. Then it was on hold for Rita Ora. Famous came to me and said, yo, Tiff, there's this artist named Zendaya. We should cut replay on her.
That's crazy.
So Zendaya got published in a writer credit. She did not write on replay.
To it, this Grammy winning songwriter is exposing the music industry, and it's interesting to see her take on what's going on between songwriters and artists, songwriters and labels. Not only that, but she's also talking about where music is going in the future and a lot of the changes that are being made. So some of y'all may have heard of this songwriter. She's also an artist. You may not have heard of her. Her name is Tiffany Red. And I want to give you guys a little bit of a background on who she is and what she does. And then you're actually going to be able to hear it from her as well. All right. So this is Tiffany Red's website. Y'all can go check her out at IamTiffanyRed.com. And she's got a little explanation about who she is. Tiffany Red is a multifaceted artist hailing from South Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. With a passion for music and community service, she has established herself as a leading figure in the music industry as a Grammy-winning songwriter, artist, producer, and content creator. Y'all give it up. Give it up for Tiffany Red. We gotta show her some love. For sure. She has written hit songs for some of the biggest names in music, including Zendaya, Jason Derulo, and ClassE, who was most recently in the news for, I mean, a lot of y'all know some of the things that were going on with Diddy, which we're going to get into on part 2. We won't be able to get into that today. But anyway, Tiffany has released 7 projects, including her most recent EP, In My Head. All right. In June 2020, Red's social media outcry over the undercompensation for her contribution to the K-pop hit Boss by NCT sparked a movement. This momentum led her to establish the 100 Percenters, a nonprofit advocating for music creatives, particularly those from the BIPOC and marginalized communities. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the 100 Percenters here in a second, but Tiffany Red's resume is very deep, and she's done a lot of work. So we got to give her a round of applause for that. If y'all haven't checked her out, you can do that over on Instagram, which we're actually, oh no, my Instagram's acting crazy. You can check her out over on Instagram as well. I am Tiffany Red, super easy to find her. And you can also check out the 1 Percenters there too, which I want to tell y'all a little bit about the 1 Percenters and what she's doing with that nonprofit organization, which is pretty cool. So Grammy winning songwriter and savvy entrepreneur Tiffany Red founded the 100 Percenters in July of 2020. Red's social media outcry over the undercompensation for her contribution to the song we just talked about quickly sparked the movement. The momentum led her to establish the 100 Percenters and continue advocating for fair pay for herself and others in the creative community. The 100 Percenters is a revolutionary 501c3, which means it's a nonprofit organization that fiercely advocates for the rights of music creators. Hey, y'all give it up, man. Y'all give it up for Tiffany Red. She's out here. She's not only talking about it, she's being about it too, which is dope. She said their mission over at the 100 Percenters is empowering and uplifting music creatives by providing them with essential resources, support, and education, ensuring that they have equal access to opportunities and revenue streams. So this is going to be a big part of what we're talking about today. Yeah, she's a fighter. She's out here fighting for real. So she most recently made the news because she started talking about some of the things that were going on during the Grammys. I know a lot of y'all saw the video that we made and talked about a few weeks ago where Jay-Z was upset about how things were being handled with the Grammys and how Beyonce was getting treated by the Grammys. And, you know, he was throwing shots at a few people and just saying she wasn't getting the credit she deserved. Now, Tiffany Red took that opportunity to hold Beyonce accountable and say that Beyonce is not doing what she could for the music industry. So we're going to listen to some of the clips and some of the things she talked about when it comes to Beyonce and how she treats songwriters and how a lot of songwriters are treated within the music industry. So y'all check this one out. All right, Tiff. Tiff said, hey, y'all better get your act together, because until we're not gonna support you until you guys get your house in order first, which is the interesting concept. Y'all have to let me know what you think in the chat, because as you can see, let me pause this. Even in the comments, some people in the music industry do not agree with what Tiffany is saying. They're basically, their thought is that, well, nobody's forcing you guys to sign these deals. Nobody's forcing you songwriters to give away so much of your publishing, which and then you can collect royalties off of. And a lot of artists in the music industry specifically feel this way. So you can even see this comment here. This person said, it's no gun to writers' head forcing them to write for Beyonce. They want an opportunity like everyone else, and sometimes opportunity costs. That's an interesting point. She steals producer publishing too. So how much is an opportunity really worth? Me personally, I would give up the 15 to 35% for one song and see what doors it opens. I also understand if you wouldn't. Y'all have to let me know what you think about that part, because even if that's the case, first of all, getting these placements is very difficult. And a lot of these songwriters, they do make their living off of songwriting. So if you're saying you take less percentage, then there's a lot of things that go with it. So y'all have to let me know what you think. I'll give my thoughts on this here in a second, but let's go to another clip that Tiffany talks about what's going on with the whole Beyonce and the publishing situation. Here's another one. So
Beyonce is arguably the biggest artist of our generation. In my opinion, I definitely think that Beyonce is the biggest artist of our generation, the biggest artist of our time. Some of you call her Queen Bee. Y'all call the internet Beyonce's internet. So is it not fair to come to the queen? So every percentage that we get of publishing matters, because it's all we got and it's worth so much less now.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with streaming too. So I see some of y'all in the comments are saying buzz. Yeah, y'all know after she posted that, the Beehive came after her, and a lot of supporters of Beyonce weren't happy about what she's saying. But I think she does make a good point in saying that it's going to take some of these bigger name artists to help move the needle. Yes, maybe they should take a larger percentage, and that's fine. I don't think that's what Tiffany Red is arguing. From what I'm hearing from her is she's arguing that they just want a fair percentage, especially now with the way things are going with streaming. I mean, artists themselves aren't even getting that much money. So songwriters really want a way to be able to make this into a career, and that's continuing to start and diminish more and more as things change in the music industry with what's going on with streaming and AI. It's interesting to see, but let her finish what she's saying.
Does that stop her from taking publishing despite that? No. Would I like to see a change? Would other songwriters and producers like to see a change? Yes. How do I know? Because they tell me all the time. It would be amazing if Beyonce was paying every single songwriter that's on the project for the songs that they're writing. It would be amazing if Beyonce paid a session fee to the songwriters and producers that are working with her and helping craft this incredible album. It should not be too much to ask a queen to modernize her business and pay songwriters a livable wage. It's not too much to ask. She made $579 million off that Renaissance tour.
Wow.
Ask the writers how much they made. So Beyonce.
All of that. Okay. I mean, I get the point. All of that didn't go into her pocket necessarily, but I get the point that you're saying. Because a lot of these songwriters, they don't get any of that. So everything they only get, man, I don't want to go into the details about publishing, but they only get a small portion of what the song makes. So they don't get anything from touring. Sometimes they don't get any points, which means they don't get any royalties from the streaming. They don't get anything that comes from the merch that's sold. They don't get anything other than what the actual song makes. And I think now, even with the radio, I think a lot of that's being taken away from songwriters too. So she makes an interesting point. She even gives, this is what I like to see. I have to give her credit for this. I know Tiffany's been doing this for a long time. she's actually offering some solutions to some of the things that she's seeing when it comes to songwriters and producers getting more credit. And I appreciate her for including producers in that conversation too. She said here, let me read the whole thing. She said, Beyonce, if you modernize your business practices with songwriters and producers, you can help save the livelihood of this profession. Yeah, a lot of artists and producers are out here struggling. Publishing royalties aren't livable anymore unless you write the single. And even then, it has to be massive to make decent money. Here are a few solutions. All right, let's hear what she says about solutions. Songwriter fees for first use of the composition and creation of the sound recording. That's something we're not going to get into in this video, but that's an interesting solution there. Session fees for songwriters and producers for their time and services. Guys, this goes back to the comment that we just read from someone in her previous post where they're saying, hey, I'm just happy for the opportunity. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of the ways I've been able to have success in certain areas of the music industry is I've just done things to get an opportunity to work with someone or to get an opportunity to get a connection with a CEO of this business. So I definitely get that. But a lot of the times the issues we have with moving these type of conversations forward is that there's always going to be a songwriter or a producer that's willing to say, hey, I just want the opportunity. So if you have a constant supply of artists and producers who are songwriters and producers who are just willing to do work for an opportunity, then you really just have an endless supply of songwriters and producers. So I love and I understand and get what Tiffany's trying to do, but I know she sees this as well, is there's always going to be an up and coming hot songwriter producer that's like, yeah, just put me in the game. I'll do whatever you need to do, and I'm not worried about that stuff right now. And then they get to a point to where a lot of songwriters and producers they want to make a living off of it, and then they get upset about what happened when they first got into the industry. So it's a tough situation to be in. And honestly, I would love to talk to her because I'd want to hear some of the things she's proposing about how to even get songwriters and producers on the same page, because I don't know, I'm not seeing it. She said points on the master for songwriters. That would be dope. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Participation in sound exchange royalties for songwriters. Again, this would be getting paid off of certain royalties. Artists take no publishing for songs they didn't write. What? This is a tough one, y'all. This is going to be tough to do, because then we get into the chicken and the egg conversation, which I know a lot of y'all have seen if you've been in music news and the music industry for a while. It's like we talked about it on another video. Who's more important? DJ Academics was saying, hey, you know who the star of being in the studio session was? It's the engineer, because without the engineer, they make y'all sound good. And then you've got producers out there saying, I created the beat. If I didn't create the beat, there would be no song. There would, arguably be no inspiration for the song. Then you have the artist saying that if I didn't perform the song, if I didn't have this platform, if I didn't have this fan base, the song wouldn't be able to move forward at all. Then you have the songwriters who are saying, hey, I came up with the idea for the song. If I don't write the lyrics, then the song doesn't even exist. So it's like, man, this is going to be tough, because especially with the artist as big as Beyonce, I guess there's a way that you could prove that 100% of what you wrote was used by Beyonce. But I would be interested to hear from Tiffany, how does that work? And how do you figure out what percentage should go to which part? Because if Beyonce goes and she does some type of vocal riff, does she get more of a percentage of the song? Because, hey, maybe that's the selling point of the song. So Beyonce should get that 50%, or because she sings the song in a certain way, she should get part of the writing because that's a part of it. I don't know. I would love, again, we're gonna reach out to Tiffany and try to get her on the platform. I think she'll be willing to stop over here, but I'd love to hear from her more of what that looks like in a realistic sense when it comes to an artist like Beyonce or a Drake or a Taylor Swift. So anyway, we're gonna keep it moving. There was one more thing I wanted to play for y'all real quick. This is one of the first videos that Tiffany Red posted. She did an Instagram live, I believe, to where she talked about kind of why she's calling out Beyonce, what was going on in that situation, and some of the things that she's seeing in the music industry. Oh, my bad, y'all. I had this on super speed. Let me turn it down a little bit. So we'll fast forward a little bit here too.
Some commentary on the conversation around Beyonce.
Here we go.
And album of the year. And so I just want to clear some things up real quick. So my name is Tiffany Red. I am a songwriter, a Grammy-winning songwriter. I have been writing songs for 17 years. I've been in the music industry my entire adult life. I'm the founder of the 100%ers. I run a nonprofit, and all I do is advocate for the compensation of songwriters. Why? Because I was a songwriter and I walked away from the music business because of the things that I speak about. So I have extensive experience. Almost all of my friends are in the music industry and write for your favorite artist, like a Beyonce.
Yeah, she's y'all saw her background. She's been doing this for a while, so that's why I'm so interested to hear what she has to say, because she's saying she walked away from the music industry. So she's been doing this for a while. Like I said, she used to write for ClassE. There's a lot of different things that go on there, and y'all can do some research too and kind of see some of the other things that she was involved in. But here we go.
So I'm not up on the internet just talking shit and making things up. I'm not stupid. I ain't trying to get sued. That's called defamation. I am not defaming anybody. Yeah. I am coming to y'all with things that I can back up. I don't never get on this platform and talk about shit I don't know. I be having, you see this thing? I am organized, honey. Okay? Y'all might not think that because you watch me on the internet and you don't know me like that for real. You only know the front-facing Tiffany Red, but I got a brain. Okay. Secondly, almost every artist that I have ever written for has gotten publishing on the record. Almost every record that I have done, I have written when the artist was not in the room.
Ooh. Man, that's a tough one. Y'all have to tell me what you think about that. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it, because with the songwriters, even if they wrote this when they weren't in the room with the artist, there's still a lot of things that go into the studio session when the artist actually records. So, I mean, should they get 100%? Should the royalties be changed and maybe the publishing is something different? I don't know. I don't know what you do about this, because if the artist isn't there when you're writing the song, and if you're not there when they're in the session, I mean, how do you even account for that? We'll have to talk to Tiffany and find out.
I'll go through my own songs. Replay. Zendaya got 10% of the publishing, I think. She did not write on the song.
I got a question though, for real though. Y'all rocking with Zendaya like that? It's no shout. No diss to Zendaya. I mean, it was a big song, but are y'all listening? Y'all listening to Zendaya like that? Let me know.
She didn't. That song was written at a Rihanna song camp. It was on hold for Rihanna. Then it was on hold for Rita Ora. Famous came to me and said, "Yo, Tiff, there's this artist named Zendaya. We should cut replay on her."
That's crazy.
So Zendaya got published in her writer credit. She did not write on replay. King by Tamar Braxton. I wrote and produced that song. I wrote that song for myself as an artist.
Yeah, shout out to Tiff.
In my living room. Tamar got, I don't know what she ended up getting. I think I own like 85% of that song. But I should own all of it because I did all of it. She didn't write shit.
She owns, that's crazy. She owns 85% of that song. That's dope. Man, I want to get into some more of this, because she has so many interesting and good points. Y'all,
Seven
we'll keep
Streeter,
going.
who's a songwriter. This one really hurt my heart. Seven Streeter, just being honest. Me and Mansour did that song. It was originally called Bitch.
It's a dope song.
I wrote that song by myself. I'm not even really a big co-writer like that. I prefer writing songs by myself because I don't know, I just prefer to write like that. So I have a lot of records that I have placed that either have one co-writer on or that I've written solo dolo, right? Seven ended up with 10% of that record. I fought like hell for her to not have any of the publishing because she didn't write anything on it.
Man.
Publishing is my only source of income. I didn't even, and by the way, none of the artists that I've mentioned have a career anything close to in music Beyonce. None of them do. Yeah,
so that's a great point. If that's the case and they're still taking publishing, y'all know Beyonce's up there getting it. And also, I'd be interested to find out too, when it comes to the publishing, I want to know what all is covered under that too. That's some research I'm gonna have to look into and find out, because that percentage they're taking of the publishing, there has to be more to it than just getting a percentage of the song. So that's something I'll have to dig a little bit deeper in.
But the reason why I'm bringing up my experience with every artist or almost every artist that I've worked with that has taken publishing that they did not earn on the songs that I wrote for them is because there's a precedent that's set. The reason why I called out Beyonce is because Beyonce is the Michael Jackson of our generation. And so if there's anybody that could reshape the precedent, if there's anybody that could influence the industry, that had the power and the money and the cultural thing to say, you know what, y'all, you're right. These songwriters have been out here. We've been in the street. Literally, I have been in the street in front of Spotify. I've been in front of Universal. I have talked to all y'all publishers.
They're not gonna listen.
I talked to y'all publishers. I talked to the DSPs. I talked to the copyright royalty, the U.S. Copyright Office. I talked to NMPA. I talked to RIAA. Yeah. I talked to Sona. I talked to NSAI. I talked to all of them.
I guess my thing is, and my thing about this whole conversation, if you're gonna go to Beyonce, why would Beyonce have this conversation? Because it really would just have to be out of the kindness of her heart, off of the strength of her understanding and wanting to either look a certain way or do a certain thing, because she's benefiting from the way things have been. And it actually works out better for her because, as Tiffany was saying, the money in music and that you get off of that publishing is becoming less and less because of some of the changes that's going on in the music industry. So I think it's cool, and yeah, Beyonce would be a great ambassador for this movement, but I just don't see why she would want to make that move. I don't know. I want to get Tiffany on the show so we can actually have a conversation with her. Y'all can ask some questions in the chat too. Maybe we can understand better how the whole process works, but I think she has some great points, and I like what she's saying about her wanting to advocate and fight for artists and fight for songwriters. But from looking at it from the other perspective, I just don't see that it makes sense for a Beyonce or for any artist who's already struggling to get good deals themselves to want to make this change. Either way, y'all let me know what you think in the comments in the chat, and I'm gonna read some of these comments too and see what y'all said. And thank y'all for letting me cover that real quick too. There's so much to this conversation too I want to have. And Tiffany Red, she's been, like you heard, she's been in the industry for a long time. There is so many things that she did an interview with NBC, I want to say it was, about the whole situation with Cassie, because she was really close friends with Cassie. So she's got a lot she can share there about the whole thing that was going on with Cassie and Diddy, and a lot of other information she has about the Grammys. She goes on to talk about and say the same sentiment that a lot of artists who were winning Grammys have, and saying that, you know, the Grammys, they're just like, we don't care about the Grammys. Grammys don't pay the bills. So I'm gonna reach out to her and hopefully we'll get her onto the platform too. So shout out to Tiffany. I appreciate her having this conversation. And we're gonna have to do a part two, because there's so much more to this, and this is such an interesting conversation.